Welcome back. We are on to chapter 4, A New World, which we have pictures. Hold on. So that's the cover for A New World. And then the very next page, that would be Alexstrasza, Ysera, and Nosdormu. Mount Hyjal and the World Tree. 10,000 years before the Dark Portal. The Sundering had left the world broken. The Well of Eternity was gone, and so too was the once coveted source of the Night Elves' arcane power. Desperate for refuge, the surviving Night Elves fled northwest to Mount Hyjal, one of the few places on Azeroth untouched by the destruction. En route to Hyjal, Malfurion, Stormrage, and the other Night Elves concluded that arcane magic was not safe. They agreed to prohibit its use to avoid another catastrophe like the War of the Ancients. Yet as they reached the summit of Hyjal, they were horrified to discover a second, smaller Well of Eternity. Equally shocking was the figure whom the Night Elves found standing at the fount's shores. Illidan. Before the Sundering, Illidan had filled several vials with enchanted liquid from the original Well of Eternity. He had poured some of them into the lake atop Hyjal, transforming the idyllic waters into another fount of arcane power. Violence erupted when a group of Night Elves confronted Illidan, and his brother Malfurion was forced to restrain him. Yet Illidan insisted that a new Well of Eternity was necessary. With it, the Night Elves would have the arcane power they needed to fight off the Burning Legion, when, not if, but when, it returned. Though some of the surviving Highborn agreed with Illidan, the majority of the Night Elves did not. They chastised him for his brash and selfish act, claiming that a new Well of Eternity could be used as a gateway for the Legion. Even then, Illidan remained unapologetic. Seeing no other recourse, the Night Elves decided to deal with Illidan once and for all. Ultimately, the decision was made to imprison the sorcerer. Malfurion himself would see to enacting his punishment. With the help of Cenarius, he chained Illidan deep within a barrow prison. Malfurion then charged the priestess Maiev Shadowsong to stand guard over the wayward sorcerer. She would later take on the mantle of Warden, founding an order of elite and secretive Night Elf jailers. The wording they are using right now, the wayward sorcerer, is pretty light compared to how they reacted, because they wanted to kill him. They wanted him dead, and the only reason he wasn't executed for his crimes was Malfurion stepping in. And he had quite a lot of sway at that time, being like the hero, the savior of their people. Upon learning of the second well, 3 of the great dragon aspects converged on Hyjal. Like the Night Elves, they knew that so long as the Fount of Power existed, the Legion would have a means to invade Azeroth once again. Thus, the aspect of life, Alexstrasza, used an enchanted seed to sprout a mighty tree over the Well of Eternity. This seed is from the Emerald Dream. The tree's boughs soon towered over the lake, scraping the belly of the heavens. Its roots grew deep into the earth, spreading life-giving energies across the war-torn world. Thereafter, the great tree would act as a seal over the new Well of Eternity, preventing the Legion or anyone else from abusing its powers. Malfurion and the other Night Elves looked upon this colossal world tree and named it Nordrassil, meaning Crown of the Heavens. They vowed to keep it safe and protect the Well of Eternity at any cost. To honor this decision, the dragon aspects agreed to bless the Night Elves so that they could perform their guardianship successfully. Alexstrasza infused Nordrassil with renewed strength and vitality, which would also extend to the Night Elves. The aspect of dreams, Ysera then blessed the tree, binding it and all Night Elf druids to the Emerald Dream. Prior to this, Malfurion and his followers had wandered Ysera's realm, but doing so required difficult meditation. The new enchantment placed on Nordrassil would allow these druids to journey into the dream whenever they so wished. Lastly, Nosdormu, the aspect of time, wove his energies through the boughs and roots of Nordrassil, assuring that as long as the colossal tree stood, the Night Elves would possess immortality. With that, the aspects ventured back to their hidden lairs. Due to their enchantments, the Second Well of Eternity would no longer act as a beacon to demons, nor could the Legion easily use it as a gateway into Azeroth. It would become a symbol of the Night Elves' connection to the natural world, a sacred monument that empowered their race with immunity to sickness, disease, and aging. The Sentinels. As the centuries passed, the burgeoning Night Elf society expanded into the dense forests of Ashenvale, south of Mount Hyjal. Tyrande Whisperwind, high priestess of the Sisterhood of Elune, led the Night Elves in rebuilding their society. Her order was uniquely positioned to fill the power vacuum among the Night Elves, for it had emerged from the War of the Ancients relatively unscathed. Tyrande deftly positioned the Sisterhood as the leaders of both the Night Elf government and the military. She also forged a new fighting force, the Sentinels. Composed of devout and highly trained warrior women, this order dedicated itself to protecting the emergent Night Elf society. The Sentinels set out to patrol their misty forest home, befriending the native creatures of the land and standing guard against any threat. Meanwhile, Malfurion continued fostering a culture of druidism among his people. Having abandoned arcane magic, many former sorcerers embraced Malfurion's teachings and devoted themselves to living in harmony with nature. These early druids lacked the stringent militaristic codes and hierarchy of the Sentinels. Malfurion's followers were free to explore the depths of the Emerald Dream at will. They also experimented with the art of shape-shifting, taking on the forms of mighty bears, lithe night sabers, swift-winged crows, and many other animals that roamed the woodland deeps. The druids regularly entered long periods of hibernation as they journeyed through the dream. This aloofness frustrated Tyrande and her sentinels. Though they often sought the druids' help to safeguard Night Elf lands, few of Malfurion's followers were ever awake to answer the call. As these changes in Night Elf society took shape, an old foe was gathering strength in Kalimdor. Following the War of the Ancients, the remaining satyrs stayed hidden in the dark corners of the world, waiting to strike back at the Night Elves. Eventually, one of the horned aberrations, Zalan the Feared, gave his brethren this chance. He rallied the satyrs and girded them for war. Zalan's rise also drew the attention of the Burning Legion, remnants trapped on Azeroth after the Sundering. Doomguard and other wicked beings emerged from dark warrens, drawn to the satyrs' call. As one, this demonic army launched its first brutal assault on the Night Elf stronghold of Nightrun, plunging the fragile society into war once again. Sorry, I need to take a brief break because of my phone.